It has been over 2 weeks for one reason and one reason alone. There has been so much in this chapter that needed to be addressed. At first it felt like it would just be a small chapter, but it's a monthly series. There's no such things as a small chapter, especially when there's no quote-unquote action going on. So let me just get the more jokey material out of the way before we get on to the big thing. First of all, there was a recurring theme, recurring joke, or a running gag, as you might say, of Eren being, put aside as if he was hitting puberty. That being said, we might have just gotten a hint at what Hanji's true gender is. Because Levi said he's at that stage, which was more or less into puberty, or maybe something a little bit more mature. And when Hanji stated that Hanji did not know what Levi was talking about, that might have hinted at Hanji being a female. But at best, that was more of a hint or an Easter egg, or something you would have noticed if you were paying attention. So, yeah, Hanji's true gender, still ambiguous, but it's looking more like it's female with that little hint. And speaking of female, we got a lot of Ymir on Krista, but let's put aside all jokes for now, because we finally got the backstory of our Ymir. Now, first of all, Ymir is not her name. She has no name. She was a child. She was picked up by what looks like just a regular man who was just taking in a child, but from what we can assume, this man was a cold-hearted con artist who basically used her name, and her blank slate of a personality to make her into the fake reincarnation of the Ymir that they all loved and adored and worshipped, literally. He gained money from donations, potentially, got all of those nice, beautiful robes, and little by little he became a huge success. Now, as for the specifics of the downfall, it's not entirely sure how the downfall particularly came. It's just that at some point, it was the Marleyan government that had the final say by tossing Ymir into the, over the walls into Paradise. Now, as for whatever happened to the other fucker, who gives a shit? But she got tortured, she got, basically stoned. And for those who are millennials, no, stone does not mean weed. Look it up in the Bible. Otherwise, she was turned into a Titan, and after so many years, because we can at least assume based off of what she said, it was, say, what did she say she was a Titan for? Around 60 years or something like that? From that time period, from her being betrayed and basically executed in, the Marleyan government's own twisted way, which doesn't seem to work very much in the last few flashbacks, actually. But nonetheless, that's what happened. She was executed. At some point, she came across the soldiers and ate the other one. And because of that, eating Marcel, and apparently they didn't just stare at Ymir eating Marcel, Rainer and Bertolt ran like what we can assume was little bitches. And I guess at a closer look at that panel of the flashback, you could see that they were just little children. They weren't preteens, really, at that stage. They were little children. Which, if you think about it, makes complete sense, considering that they had to have reached the walls at least slightly before the actual start of the series, like the prologue of the series, when Bertolt himself broke down the original wall with his big-ass kick. So, obviously, they would have to be around that same age that Eren, Mikasa, and Armin were at the very beginning of the series. So that makes sense. Of course, they wouldn't think back to look at their friend being devoured and realize that, they just created a new Titan shifter. They were dumb children. Obviously, they wouldn't put two and two together right off the bat. So, they were just following the orders and not having any other thoughts because they were dumb children at the time. You gotta realize how young they were. And, well, Krista, or Historia as we should just call her, has come quite into role as the new queen. You know, with her royal blood and all. And that's where a little turn takes place, because, she is basically useless, except for the fact that she's alive. And Eren realizes this after another giant revelation. Because during a giant meeting where, because of the situation they had to take Eren, Armin, and a very scrawny-looking Mikasa out of jail early, mainly because the ones punishing them were the ones who let the, other shifters get away in the first place. So, potato, they were at their wits' end. They didn't have enough time to go through punishing them properly. So, during that, little meeting of the remaining members, Eren has a little flashback while Hanji is discussing to, everyone else exactly what we already know. The Eldians, the Marleyans, and all that other stuff. And there are two other key points in this in the flashbacks, which I'll get to one at the very end, but the one that is currently on my mind is the fact that Eren realizes, which is a very weird realization actually, which honestly got me a little down in the dumps. I thought Eren was, had some mysterious potential that just couldn't be explained of how he could control the power of the original Titan. That, unfortunately, was not the case. As we now realize, when he realized that while the royals are incapable of, properly controlling the power, it would at the very least seem that while in contact with one of royal blood, in other words, the Titan transformed Dinah, which he only recently put two and two together after recently realizing that the Smiling Titan was her. He realized that he was touching her when he made the command to kill her, which is actually quite ridiculous. But I guess, it's better than keeping her alive as a Titan and, working with that. And worse, if he had been eaten by her, then the power of the original Titan would have actually been stuck with her. And we'd be right back where they left off with no Eren, and the fact that, there would literally be no way to use the power unless they fed it to someone else, such as Levi or Mikasa. Although speaking of feeding shit to Mikasa, she needs to eat. I mentioned before she was scrawny, but I think she's really taking a mental toll in regards to the news that Armin and Eren only have so many years left to live. That is actually very disappointing, very sad. How will Mikasa's depression and eating disorder, and maybe even a mental disorder, fix into her participation in the next big arc? But that's only one thing. Here's one other thing I wanted to mention in terms of flashbacks, which is the state of the Marleyan government versus King Fritz. As we know, King Fritz, or the, obedience that he left, is to not, fight, and to not control the Titans, and to just let things go as is. Which is one really bad way of saying he's following the flow to the death, and taking all of his citizens down with him. And it's really sad. But it is because of that Grisha was the only hope for Owl to save the Eldian people. Because the moment they get their hands on the original Titan, not is it over for the Eldians inside Paradise, but the Eldians in the ghetto in the Marleyan Kingdom as well. They're literally just there for fodder to become pure titans when need be. And that was literally the only reason they kept them alive, except now they realize they've overpopulated Paradise to the point where they can't even get close to the walls. So it's a stalemate by their own doing, and they're basically reaping what they sowed. And sadly, it seems like they finally found a way to go around it. First of all, they've basically destroyed the entire Survey Corps, which was their main enemy. In other words, there aren't that many people skilled enough to kill Titans again. It's like they've regressed to, say, before the fall, with a little bit more hope. Just a tiny bit more hope. Which is sad, depressing, and I can't wait to see how they play this out. So, I'm trying to think, was there anything else that I needed to put in this review / discussion? No, I do not think there was. Although, announcements as a whole, I will still be doing the Titan Shifter 2-part discussion. What took me so long for this also factored into the information needed for the second part. So, when I can finally resume putting the parts together, it will be put out. Hopefully before the next chapter, because that would actually put it even further back with more information to go on. But I digress. So, if you guys like this video, give it a thumbs up. Don't forget to subscribe. We finally reached 100 subscribers. Let's go for 200, why don't we? So, thank you guys for tuning in. Don't forget to tune in. And if you guys are a fan of the Attack on Titan video game, I do Twitch streams every week. I'll probably be doing them on Wednesdays from now on. A couple on the weekends here and there. The scheduled ones will always be on Wednesday, yes. But I have a 5-day weekend, so I can do other streams throughout. The Twitch channel is in the details below. Please click that button. Or link. Or whatever. Click whatever you want to click, except for the dislike button. I don't like dislikes. Nobody likes dislikes. So, see you guys next time. Smalls out. Yeah, that's it. You still here? Go. Shoo. Shoo. Shoo!